One thing that I think we've all been really concerned about is this federal takeover of Black cities. And unfortunately, we had so much going on that we did not get a chance to get to what was happening in Chicago on our last episode. And I am personally devastated and terrified about what's happening there. Just this week, Donald Trump has threatened to arrest the mayor of Chicago, Brandon Johnson, and the governor, Governor Pritzker. And it's just frightening. But for our viewers, take a listen. This is sound from residents in this area where our own government descended from Black Hawk helicopters and seized this housing unit and zip-tied children, burst into apartments, just something unimaginable. So for all the people that was like, this ain't our business, this business has literally come knocking down our front door. Take a listen and we'll talk about it on the other side.
The alarming scenes coming out of Chicago. There was this early morning raid of an apartment building earlier this week that involved around 300 federal agents, including those rappelling down from a Black Hawk helicopter. As the Chicago Sun-Times reports, quote, armed federal agents in military fatigues busted down their doors overnight, pulling men, women, and children from their apartments, some of them naked. Residents and witnesses said. Agents approached or entered nearly every apartment in this 5-story building, and U.S. citizens were among those detained for hours. Agents claimed the neighborhood was, quote, a location known to be frequented by Trende Aragua members and their associates. DHS, of course, gave no evidence to support that assertion, and authorities did not confirm that any of the people arrested were members of the Venezuelan gang.
They was terrified. The kids was crying. People was screaming. They looked very distraught. I was out there crying when I seen the little girl come around the corner. Because they was bringing the kids out too. Had them zip tied to each other. And that's all I kept asking. Where's the morality? Where's the human? One of them literally laughed. He was standing right here. He said, them kids.
Meanwhile, Friday, federal agents handcuffed Chicago alderperson Jessie Fuentes and briefly detained her when she asked if they had a signed warrant for a man they were trying to detain at a hospital.
He has constitutional rights. Do you have a sign?
No, you need to leave.
For me.
Turn around. Turn around and leave.
He is under.
I'm going to arrest you.
You were going to be placed under arrest.
Do you have a sign to get your warrant for him?
When you have masked men arresting elected officials on behalf of, by all evidence, an authoritarian government, where do we go from here?
I mean, first of all, let me just say that I think that the leadership that's being displayed on the front lines of the Democratic Party is something that is admirable. And when I say the front lines, I'm not talking about Washington, D.C. I'm talking about what you're seeing with Brandon Scott in Baltimore, what you're seeing with Andre Dickens in Atlanta, Frank Scott in Little Rock, Randall Wolfen. And I have not been a big fan of Brandon Johnson in Chicago. I wasn't. I thought that the job was too big for him. I was very critical of him, have been very critical of him. However, during this time, and he's like found his footing. And, you know, the way that he's displayed, and we're not going to always agree, and, you know, it is what it is, but the strength and courage that he's kind of led his city through this time period, I believe, shows, and different moments are meant from different type of leaders. And I questioned his ability to lead when he got elected in his first few months. But this moment, he's really rising to that occasion. And I think that because from the outside, this is where, you know, you guys may differ. From the outside, when you ask just a typical person that you bump into on the street, how they feel about the National Guard or somebody coming in to help them tamp down crime, which they all know is a real thing, they're going to be like, that's fine. Bring it on in, whatever. I want crime to be out of my communities as well. I don't want my grandson or whatever. So listening to the mayors who are on the front lines of the city, who are actually articulating what's going on, why this is bad, et cetera, these should be the messengers that we platform, not the talking heads that we listen to normally on this issue.
That's fair.
You know, I think, first of all, I think Brandon Johnson should do a masterclass on how to handle when you're, you know, being faced with the National Guard, any national law enforcement invading your city, because he's been phenomenal. Even the idea of like ICE being stopped by ICE trucks, like I loved it. Like he was like, we're gonna barricade off the streets with the ICE trucks. I have to say that I think I can't believe that we're here in this moment where this is actually like a real conversation. They've mostly targeted Black-run cities. It is forcing us, I think the one positive, it is forcing us to unite and figure out how to have strategies around best practices with people who are not our body politic, who we don't normally agree with. And those mayors who don't normally agree. They're being faced with the same set of circumstances. There is some polling out though that says that people don't want national law enforcement in their cities. So maybe they thought the National Guard was going to appear one way, but right now in Chicago, it is the Texas National Guard. It ain't Illinois. You know, it is. So I think that somewhere deep, it feels like, okay, now y'all in our business.
Yeah.
You know, and I think it's some really inappropriate lines.
Why can't you believe we're here? Because you said that. Because I mean, Kamala told us. She literally said that they were going to be marching in the street.
We told people too. I think, as I told y'all earlier, I really think it's the pace. It's a breakneck pace. I can't keep up. And I thought, one, probably part of it is like, they say you can't change anything until you accept it. I'm having a hard time just accepting this is our reality, and I'm mad about it. So there's a deep-seated resentment and bitterness about where we are. So that's probably a part of it. But if I am to accept where we are, I'm still like, I can't believe that the number of people who won't push back, who won't take the time to fight every single battle with every fiber of their being, I don't get it. I just don't get it.
I agree with you around disbelief around being here.
Yeah.
Part of the disbelief around being at this moment for me is, contrary to history in this country, the various branches of government generally act to protect themselves, to protect their power and not to cede it. So presidents, regardless of party affiliation, they protect the executive branch. They protect the executive power of the presidency. The legislative branch protects the legislative power of that branch. And it doesn't matter if their president is of the same party or not. Correct. They are going to preserve their power. They don't give it away. The judicial branch, the weakest supposedly of the branches, because they don't have the power of the purse and they don't have a military to then enforce their decisions. Their power only comes through the acceptance of people's ability and willingness to accept their decisions. So the fact that of all three branches collapsing, the judiciary happens to be the one that it seems to be staving off the total collapse by itself. And by the way, to be more specific, the judges under the Supreme Court happen to be the ones staving off a complete and total collapse of every branch of government, bending the knee to the executive. The reason the framers created three co-equal branches of government was not to set one power above the other. And what we've now done is basically said, forget the democratic experiment. Yeah. It doesn't work. We prefer autocracy.
They've consolidated power to the executive.
They have conceded their power. It's not even consolidated. They're not jointly managing.
You're right.
The executive is doing what he's doing, and every of the branch appears to be collapsing to it. The other thing that is enraging to me about that imagery that we just saw is, when does the military decide that they are enforcing an unjust and illegal order? Mm-hmm. They are admonished to to follow the commands of the commander in chief when they are lawful orders.
Yeah.
When do they decide that the orders that they're carrying out are not lawful?
How about that?
Because the military person who was sitting there laughing and saying, "Forget those kids."
Yes.
The others who are putting handcuffs on elected officials who are in public places and being told that they are now trespassing on what are public places. The Chicago City Council, I'm sure, puts millions toward their local hospital. Mm-hmm. She got more of a right to be there than they have to be there.
Absolutely.
So my fury right now is with those of us who are in this system, who have a role to play, a duty to carry out. When does their humanity show up in a way that says, you know what? It's an order, but this is an unjust and an illegal order, and I will not carry it out.
Yeah.
I just think people are tired, because as much as that enrages you, I think about the federal workers who are without a job, trying to figure out how to make their ends meet.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. Because of Medicaid cuts. Thinking about those people who don't have access to care or who are working at those places now.
Yeah.
I mean, there's just, and to your point, I think that's what Donald Trump does extremely well. and I don't know if it's Trump, that's probably giving him too much credit, but Stephen Miller does extremely well, which is flood the zone.
Yeah.
They just put so much out there on us that it makes people extremely weary. And that's what we're seeing right now. I also think it's all to cover up the Epstein files. But
Native Land Pod is a production of iHeart Radio in partnership with Reason Choice Media. For more podcasts from iHeart Radio, visit the iHeart Radio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows.